Since the rates started going up in March of 2022, there's been one segment of the population that is feeling it the most, and those are the people with the variable rates. And it's kind of been this slow burn of rates going up and slowly feeling it and getting to the point now where they might not like it, but they're dealing with it. But there's a whole other segment of the population, the people with fixed rates, that probably have between 1 and 3 years left. And if rates don't change, well, they're in for a surprise. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. What does the future hold for fixed rate mortgage holders? Because right now, the fixed rate is over 6% in Canada. And if that doesn't come down significantly in the next 1, 2, 3 years, there's going to be a lot of the population that's renewing their mortgage, and right away their payments are going up significantly. My name's Tom Storey. I appreciate you being back here on the channel. I wanted this video to really be an open discussion, so I'd love if you could be active in the comments and let me know how you're feeling about this, because I want to share some of the insights that have been going on just kind of for me, but I'd also be really interested to see what the viewers think. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We would really appreciate it. And if you do want to book an appointment with me, we've made it very easy. You can just go into the first link in the description, book a time with me that works for you. There are a lot of Canadians right now that have a fixed rate mortgage, right? And if they got it in 2019, 2020, 2021, or early 2022, that fixed rate is likely under 3%. Now, when their mortgage comes up for renewal, that 3% could be 6%, right? Because there's still a chance that rates stay a lot higher for longer, and they're certainly not going to come down to where they were before. And there's reason for concern here, because variable rate mortgage holders have been feeling the pain since the beginning of the rates going up, right? Like they've really been feeling it, but it's been slow. The fixed rate people are about to be woken up with like, this is your new rate. Well, what do I do? Well, you have no choice. This is what your new rate is, and your payments are going to go up every single month. And I want to talk about a few different potential outcomes here. The first outcome is, okay, they can afford the new payments. They don't like it, but they can afford it. Okay, so those people will keep their properties. But the second potential outcome, which is a bit more worrying, is, if rates don't go down in the next 2 years or 3 years, and they're on a fixed income and they're already kind of living at the top of their budget, and their mortgage goes up $2,000 a month, they might be in a position that they're like, you know what? My only option here is to sell my property. And there's never really a dull moment in Canadian real estate. If we go back to the beginning of 2020, it's like, okay, the people that are on mortgage deferrals, when that's up, there's going to be a flood of listings that comes to the market. Never really happened. The trigger rate didn't really do what we thought it was going to do. That was kind of the term that was thrown around. But now the next one are the fixed rate mortgages coming up. There's been a lot of talk, and I agree with this, for the people that are on these static variables, meaning your payment doesn't change as long as it's covering all the interest. Once it goes past all the interest, then you hit the trigger rate and your payment is forced to go up. But what the banks were doing is they're extending these amortizations. Now, at the end of the day, this is just great for the banks, right? People are paying more interest over a period of time. I guess it's okay for the homeowner because for a period of time, at least their payments are more reasonable. But this is propping up the market. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? The banks don't want your house. They're not in the real estate business. They're in the lending business. Is there now a case to be made that, let's say your mortgage is still fairly new? Okay, you're 5 years in to a 25-year amortization mortgage, and your rate was 2.5%, and when you're renewing it, it's 5.5%, and that's going to increase your payment significantly. Are the banks going to say, listen, we understand that the rates are a lot higher now than what you previously had. When you started your mortgage, you had a 25-year amortization. Right now, you're at 20 years because you've paid off the first 5. Would you like to extend your amortization back to 25 years? Now, again, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't helping the consumer, right? You're just paying more interest over a period of time, but it will help the overall cost. And for the people that are already in position right now that they're thinking of selling a property, but they only bought it in the last 3 to 4 years, there's a good chance, depending on the market, you're still up. But if you're not, and you're wondering like, okay, well, how long will it take to get back to the price that I paid? One of two things needs to happen. First one is what we saw earlier on this year. Even though the interest rates were higher at the beginning of 2023, we still saw 5 months in a row of price growth. That only happened because there was nothing to choose from. There was no inventory on the market. Now we're at a point where the rates are even a little bit higher than then, plus there's more inventory on the market. So either the rates have to go down, who knows when that's going to happen, or the inventory has to go down. So for the rest of 2023, I don't see price growth. I think you're going to see some asset classes hover, some are going to drop in price. I think that's just the reality of where we're at right now. In a few days from now, the Toronto Real Estate Board is going to release their September numbers. I'm going to do a video on that, but I'll tell you the two things that I'm going to watch for. The first thing will be active listings. We ended last month at about 15,000. It was pretty much the same in August as it was in July. If that number starts to creep up, that's something we're really going to have to keep an eye on. Keep in mind, back in 2008, when things were at absolute standstill, we had about 25,000 active listings on the market. So we're not quite there yet. We still technically are across the board, balanced market territory, seller market for a lot of the freehold properties in Toronto. And the second thing I'm going to look at is for every single asset class, and then the market as a whole, what was the average and median sale price in September compared to August? Because if you go back over the last 10, 15 years, it is very, very, very rare that September is not higher than August. We did not have a blockbuster summer here in Toronto. That's just a fact. If the September numbers aren't higher than the August numbers, because the August numbers are always pretty low every single year, that's when you can say with confidence, okay, probably now there's pressure on prices because this is not trending over what a typical market does. And that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. Again, I'd really appreciate if you could jump in the comments and let me know where we're going here. I think personally, I'm somewhere in the middle of like, there's definitely going to be some people in tough situations, right? It is what it is. How could there not be? The extended amortizations on both the fixed and the variables, if the banks allow it on the fixed renewals, could kind of soften the blow. Again, it's just extending it. It's not solving anything for anybody. But then there's some asset classes in certain areas that are still getting 10 offers on them because there's nothing to choose from. So there's so many different micro markets happening here. Please don't make your buying or selling decisions based on a blanket statement by a news outlet. Really get into the numbers that are happening in your market. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you learned anything new today, I'd appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to the channel. My name is Tom Storey, and remember, home is where your story begins.